Welcome to the Zaxby's Coaches Show, brought to you by First Bank, Farm Bureau Insurance, and Zaxby's Friends, Family, Flavor. With your host, Chris Delambert, only on the NFHS Network, brought to you by New Image Media.
Welcome to the Zaxby's Coaches Show. I'm Chris Delambert. This is Hector Perez, my good friend, marketing director for Zaxby's here throughout the region. So week after week, we come in, and I know that as we move onward and life gets back to normal, you guys got a lot of events coming on. I know that you don't have anything in the very near term, but what's on the long-term calendar that Zaxby's will be involved with?
So in the long term, we do stuff with a company called Finish Line Racing, and there's a bunch of 5Ks. Unfortunately, I guess a lot of people don't like to do them directly in the summer, so it's going to be going towards the end of July, going into August, September, October. That's where a lot of the big events are coming. You know, we had stuff that we did for the hockey team in Fayetteville that has been postponed till, I believe, May. So when May comes around, then we'll be in the hockey field in Fayetteville.
All right, very good.
Coliseum.
And until then, it's just business as usual?
It's just business as usual, but, you know, we have our own stuff we do at our stores. We do spirit nights, you know, we do, you know, fundraisers for schools, you know, trying to keep our feet in the community.
Talk a little bit about how Spirit Night works.
So a spirit night, so what we do is we do usually do it for schools, businesses, church, anything, you know, that would need some kind of funds. And what we do is from the hours 5 to 8, all sales, no matter if it's dine-in, drive-ins, 10% of the proceeds will go back to that organization.
All right, and if I'm the director of a nonprofit or I'm involved with a school, what do I need to do to make that happen?
All you need to do is contact your local Zaxby's, of course. As long as it's one of ours, you can't, you know, save the one, you know, because there's like, what, 5 in Fayetteville? So there's like 2 of them that we don't own. So that's up to them, but, you know, as long as you call us, or, you know, if you see a Zaxby's van, you know, rolling around and you see our phone numbers in the back, you can call us.
All right, and for folks that are watching here in Lee County, you guys definitely own this one.
Yeah.
What are the other locations that you have?
All right, so we have 11 this stuff. So we have Sanford, Asheboro, 2 in Fayetteville, Hope Mills, because I got that one wrong, 2 in Charlotte, 1 in Harrisburg, 1 in Matthews, Southern Pines, Lumberton.
Man, I was going to give you a hard time for not being able to rattle them off, but now
they're going to kill me because I can't remember the last 2. Laurinburg, did I say that already?
No, you didn't.
At Laurinburg, because that's 10. There's got to be 1 missing. Whiteville.
Well done.
So all over North Carolina.
It wasn't pretty, but you pulled it across the line. Good job.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, if you like a really a non-committal way to raise some funds, get in touch with your local Zaxby's. If you're any of Hector and his groups, they definitely do the 10% Spirit Night, but 10% of sales go directly to the organization, and that's available to any nonprofits. Fantastic.
Yeah, we do it for you know, PTOs, PTAs, parts of schools, and stuff like that. We've done a bunch of them with the marching bands across like a lot of schools, so that's really fun to do, especially when they come out and, you know, play out and next to the drive-through.
So do organizations generally do this as a one-off, or do they do it where they're like, you know, the second Tuesday every month is going to be the Spirit Night for whatever organization?
So we try to do at least 2 a year for the organization, 1 in the fall and 1 in the spring, that we're able to make room for, you know, new ones or some repeats from last year. So we try to accommodate. You know, tends to be a busy schedule because you're doing from Tuesday to Thursday. So they tend to stack up, and then we've got other things to do. So, but we love it. It's fun.
All right, very, very cool. So bottom line is, you can get the spicy chicken sandwich or whatever you want off the menu.
Yes, you
can.
can.
And 10% of the proceeds will go to the nonprofit on that given Spirit Night.
That is correct.
That's pretty cool. Well, if you're interested in supporting, do you guys publish the calendar that shows?
Yeah, so you can actually check out your local Zaxby's. Also, we do have Facebook accounts, so, you know, we post on whenever we're going to have them. We try to do it about 3 days in advance, 2 days. So check up around there. Just keep yourself on the Facebooks of all our Zaxby's accounts, and hopefully you'll find one.
All right, Zaxby's always finding ways to give back to the community. Not the least of which is all the support that you give to sports here in the region, and we certainly appreciate everything you do with the high school sports. We couldn't do this without you, so thank you, sir.
We're happy to be a part of it.
And for me, not that I don't have fun doing this, but the highlight is the catered meal I take home with me after the show. So it's not a bad deal.
Hear it.
All right, very good. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with Coach Steve Burdeau and talk about last week's victory against J.H. Rose and preview the upcoming matchup against Cleveland.
Something big is coming. Something so big, it'll change the world of chicken sandwiches. Zaxby's new signature sandwich with Zax sauce or new spicy Zax sauce. Because the chicken sandwich war ain't over yet. The new signature sandwich. All the other little sandwiches can run along. We'll take it from here.
WilkinsonCars.com. Come visit us at our new location in Sanford. With the same great staff and the same great service. Test drive one of our many different vehicles. Check out our state-of-the-art service department and collision center, where our team can have you back on the road in no time. We're right across from Walmart at 3335 North Carolina 87 South. Schedule your appointment online at WilkinsonCars.com or call us at 919-842-3322. We guarantee we're the place to be at Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. We are professional grade.
Welcome back to the Zaxby's Coaches Show, the first of the playoff editions. And our hosts today are Wilkinson Cadillac, Wilkinson Chevrolet, whichever you prefer. And with me is General Sales Manager Chad Triplett. Mr. Triplett, how are you?
I am fantastic. How about you?
I'm glad to hear it. I'm good. We were just talking about the pollen. Yeah. The pollen, I never thought about the impact until just now.
Yeah.
Do you guys have to make a special effort to get it off the cars? What does that look like?
Yeah, we do. We actually hired someone last week to come and wash all our cars, new and used. Yeah, it's a process.
Man, man. I gotta bid for that contract, man. That can't be cheap. I know what a pain it is just to keep the 2 or 3 that are in my driveway at any given time clean.
Yeah,
I never considered that. Yeah. So what's new at Wilkinson?
I got some new inventory in the last few days. Already pushing those across the curb and looking for some more to come in here soon. Things are great.
What's hot right now?
Still the trucks and those expensive Yukon Denali's, man. Those things are gorgeous.
Man, tell me about the features in the Denali.
Yeah, it's just heated, cooled seats, power sliding center console, headrest DVDs. Actually, it's more than DVDs now. Actually, it's not a DVD. It's you can plug your device into it, your PlayStations. If you have, they come with Wi-Fi, so you can hook up Roku and YouTube TV. It's amazing. It's streaming.
So basically, I could move out of my house, move into a Yukon, and I'd be good to go.
You just need a blanket in the back seat and a pillow, and you're good.
Man, oh man, oh man. I mean, at any given time, you get these custom editions of these different trucks. The Yukon, that name, that Denali, has become synonymous with the highest end in terms of your guys' products in particular. Yeah. I'm still blown away every time I see the front of one of y'all's trucks. The lines and it just looks mean.
Yeah, it's an aggressive, bold look. Really, really nice. Yeah, you know what's coming when you meet them on the road, for sure.
Very good. Are you gonna have a chance to make it to Clayton with us on Friday?
Will Wilkinson told me there's only 370 tickets available. So if you know somebody, I live in Fuquay. I'd love to go see it.
Let me make a call. We might be able to
make a call.
I mean, we got kind of a decision maker here with us tonight. So maybe we can hook something up.
Sideline pass or something.
Yeah, hey, who knows? Might let you call plays or something.
Hey, I'd love it.
So that's interesting that you said that, because I believe the number's 390. So we're still seeing high school football be limited in terms of capacity. What are the effects on you right now with regard to restrictions and COVID?
Great question. We have a big facility here, so we're available. We really can have as many people in here as we want. The number's on the door over there. It's 964. So if we get more than that in there, I won't have any cars left. We'll take a little time off, but we just wear our mask. We attempt to be socially distant, and we just encourage our people to wash their hands frequently and just take all the precautions that we should as a business.
You feel like we can see the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, I do. I feel better about things. I think more people are kind of roaming around. That parking lot across the street is packed all the time. So I think things are headed in the right direction.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed that you're right. All right, so in the past, you've hit me with your employees. You said you got all that filled. The last couple times we've talked, you were looking for more inventory. People had cars that they wanted to sell. You were having trouble getting inventory at auction. Anything along those lines this time you want to get out to the public?
Well, really the same thing. I still need inventory. I still need used inventory. I'm paying top dollar for it. It just makes sense, especially if it was bought here and serviced here. I can tell the customer who's buying it, hey, this was sold here locally, serviced here. I saw this car in my service department frequently, and instead of saying, hey, I bought this at an auction that came from Nebraska, I have no idea who had it, but it looks nice, right?
Yeah, hey, that's about the best you can do.
Yeah.
All right, well, very good. Chad, it was good talking with you.
Yeah, you too, man. Good seeing you.
And hopefully we see you a couple more times as we go through this. We've got at least one more show as we wrap the season up, but hopefully we got 3 or 4 more in between there.
I hope so. These kids, I listened to the game on the radio Friday night, and I had to shift a little further back in my my driveway to get a better signal, so I could hear it. It was exciting. It sounded like a great game. I wish I could have been there.
It was, and we'll see if we can't get you out there this Friday. This is Zaxby's Coaches Show. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
90 years ago, First Bank was founded. You know First Bank, the one where you are greeted by name, the one dedicated to the community, and the one born in the heart of the Carolinas.
We help our customers to realize their dreams by providing financial solutions and building trusted relationships. Hi, I'm David Fashee, and we are First Bank.
Are you ready to sell your home and don't know which realtor to choose? Well, not all realtors are the same. I'm Crystal Copas, and I don't just stick a sign in the yard, throw it in the MLS, and hope to collect a commission. I provide a customized marketing plan that includes professional staging, photography, videography, and drone at no cost to you. Contact me, Crystal Copas, with RE/MAX Real Estate Service, and let's get your house sold. 919-356-5402 or visit me at crystalcopas.com.
All right, welcome back to the Zaxby's Coaches Show, and the coach of the show has showed up and is on set with me now, Coach Steve Burdeau, my favorite football coach in the whole world. How are you, sir?
Not bad at all. Good to be here.
I got to ask you, man, and I'm not trying to embarrass you on camera, but the beard, is there a superstition thing? You just going to let this thing grow?
I guess we're going to let it ride for now. We're going to let it ride for hopefully through at least May 8th, and then we'll take it back down.
All right. Are the players having fun with it? Because
I think they would love to be the ones to take it off. I think they would. I haven't talked to them about that, so they're going to watch this show and to know that's happening.
All right. It's a pretty motivated group already, man.
Yeah.
But if you give them that opportunity, they might go over the top. So, all right, opening round. I want to give some backdrop to folks who may not be familiar. This year, normally there would have been 32 teams in the East and 32 teams in 3A and 32 teams in 3AA. This year, the playoffs were cut in half, so 32 3A teams were taken, split in half based on size of the schools. You guys are in the bigger half, as you would expect. So you're in the 3AA bracket, and you're in the eastern side of that. So the 8 teams in the East in the 3A make up one side. The 8 teams in the West make up the other side. Now, if you look at the other side, the team that I think everybody's sort of programmed in and has anointed Weddington's going to win this thing. Who knows? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But on your side of the draw, this is the only year in memory where teams have been seeded randomly. And everybody that I've talked to who knows enough to have an opinion felt like the 2 teams on the top side of the bracket, with Cleveland playing Southern Durham and you guys playing J.H. Rose, that 3 of those 4 teams were the best teams in the East, or at least a good argument could be made. I guess you saw Southeastern Guilford down. They went out in round 1, so they didn't handle business, and now they're not part of the conversation. So since you guys were able to get past Rose this past weekend, Cleveland handled their business against Southern Durham. A lot of folks, and I know you're not thinking in these terms, and I wouldn't expect that you even would acknowledge it, but a lot of folks are looking at this saying, well, this is really kind of the Eastern final here. Now, Cleveland is still riding a lot of reputation because they had what for a lot of people's money might have been best player in the state.
Right.
Marion Hampton for those that don't know, is the number one running back in the state on every recruiting service that there is, and he's only a junior. Right now, in fact, I checked today to see if anything had changed, but Ohio State's number one on his list. UNC's on there, but it's the big schools all over the country that are coming to look at him. 3 weeks ago, he broke his ankle. He will not play this weekend. He's done for the season. That's got to be a crippling blow for those guys. What we wondered coming into this game against Southern Durham was where their offense was going to come from, because they've been a run-centric team. It's been Hampton. It's more Hampton for a couple of years. And what we saw from them was Skylar Locklear, their quarterback, who's a heck of an athlete, running all over the field.
Yeah, he did.
But it didn't look like most of that was by design. So that long lead up is to the question, did they give you guys anything on tape to look at? Because certainly their plan is not going to be let everything break down and Locklear's going to make a play.
Yeah, so, the films, we exchanged 3 films. So Southern Durham and the 2 last games they played of South Johnston and West Johnston, that were the 3 games prior to when the running back got hurt versus Clayton. And they haven't given up a point since then. And they've scored like 42, 48, 52 every game, big points every game. So they're definitely showing some offense, and they're showing really good defense in those games. So, whether that's the game plan for them to come against us, I don't think most want their quarterback to be running around too much with some of our D-line running after. I know I don't want ours doing it. So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, Locklear's a heck of an athlete, but he's only a little bit bigger than Wade Jarman, the quarterback he played this past week, who also is a nice athlete, did some things. All right, let's pivot back. Let's talk about Rose real quick. This is a team that kind of surprised people, snuck up on people this year. They had Michael Allen. Everybody knew about that coming in. One of the most heralded running backs in the state. Again, another junior. He didn't play, but this team kind of caught fire. They went 6-0 after kind of having spun their wheels the last couple years, but people were blown away by the amount of speed that they put out on the field. And looking at their body of work, as we did kind of in the week getting ready for the game, kind of looked and said, man, I don't know if they're that good. And then we show up in Greenville this past weekend. They are that good. Yeah. That team, I told you before we came on, that might be the fastest team I ever remember seeing. There was speed all over the field. And I have a feeling I know the answer, but I want to know how did that speed disrupt what you guys tried to do early in the game, especially?
So we knew they were really athletic. Obviously, number 3 was a heck of a football player. The quarterback was a little bit more of a sneaky athlete than probably people would give him credit for. So I was proud of how the defensive guys did a good job of containing them. We knew the jet sweeps and things like that could be very effective, and that's what they've done all year. Some of the teams, they play a couple decent teams. South Central's a good team. D.H. Conley's always pretty good, and New Bern's still playing in the playoffs right now. So they had a couple good wins, and a couple of the other teams they play maybe similar to some of the teams, compared to some of the teams we might play sometimes. So I think athletically, we knew at any point if we didn't run to the football and one guy missed a tackle that they had a chance to break a play. So we worked really hard on perimeter tackling. Our defensive coaches did a really good job of that, and our offensive guys did a really good job of getting a look of it because if we didn't run to the football, at any point they could have a touchdown, any one of those jets, sweeps, screen passes, all that good stuff they were doing.
Yeah, I was amazed at you guys' ability to seal the edge and contain that jet sweep because it really never got loose, never got to the second level. Basically, their offense came from broken plays with quarterback scrambling, and Kevin Hamilton, number 3, I'm sure you're glad you're not preparing for him again this week.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm happy that he's going on, hopefully to college and doing well there, and somebody else can plan on covering him.
Well, for folks that weren't able to see the game, Hamilton, the wide receiver, 6'4", senior. The final score was Lee County 34, Rose 26. Hamilton accounted for all 26 points. Yeah. Even the 2-point conversion that they got was Hamilton. And you guys at different points in the game knew exactly what was coming, had it covered in at least one instance, had double coverage there, and he was just too big and too fast and too strong. Great ball player, as good a receiver as you're going to see at this level. Now, that said, you guys did a couple different things on defense. In fact, we were surprised. Jerry Chalmers called the game with me that Kenyon Palmer opened the game at corner. Was that because of Hamilton, or was that something you guys have been waiting on anyway?
Kenyon's played a decent amount of corner throughout the year. We did match him up a little bit more against 3 just for size. Like Kenny's a big, long kid, and he runs well. So we thought matchup-wise and physicality that he would do a good job there. And Carlos did a good job throughout the game as well. Every now and then, they practice and run plays too. They're going to be successful. So I think it was a little bit of give and take.
Well, I was impressed with your guys because they opened the game, and a couple plays in, they ran a double move, got that full body pump from the quarterback. It looked like Hancock might have given a step. Hamilton ran by him. Were you rattled at all?
No, I think, and we talked about that as a coaching staff. That's one thing that I think that our boys, our coaches, nobody flinched. It was like, all right, they scored. All right, now we're going to try to return this kick. We had a big kick return. I think we've got that mindset of, hopefully we don't get in that situation where we're down, but if we are, we got to keep doing our job. It's always the next play, whether it was good or bad, the next one's got to be, hopefully good.
Yeah. Now, before we get off of this game, I want to throw something out at you. I don't even know if you realize this stat, and there's people within earshot who probably don't either. Last year, you guys graduated 2 D1 defensive linemen off that defensive front in DeAndre Prince and Des Evans. Both those guys playing on Saturdays now. Year one contributors. Those guys last year through 16 games, 21 sacks. There was a real worry about drop-off on that defensive line from people in the community. You guys have 2 defensive linemen you're graduating this year who are not getting any D1 run, who through 8 games have combined for 26 sacks. Last week, 3 apiece, and they're moving down, up the charts together. They both came into the game with 10 sacks apiece. They both got 3 this weekend. That takes them to 26 through 8 games. And Delmaz Jennings and Duran McCoy are just disruptive. What is it what's clicked for those guys that's got them playing at this level? And not just this past weekend, but the entire year.
I think they were both really good football players last year too. Delmaz was actually the defensive player of the game in the state championship, and both of them were close to 10 sacks last year. I think just with Dez and DeAndre not being there and being the guys that everybody just sees them a little more. But the stats do speak for themselves. Those boys get after it. They're in the backfield. Coach Jacobs is dialing up some stuff to make it be solo blocks, and they're tough to block one-on-one.
The thing I think that's most impressive to me about those guys is that generally at every level, when you see a guy that has that kind of sack numbers, 13 sacks through 8 games, you assume they're pinning their ears back, they're getting up the field, and that's what they're doing. But those guys will seal the edge. They drop into coverage occasionally. They do everything. I know that these guys were contributors last year. I know that you felt like, look, we're going to plug these guys in and we're going to go. But how surprised are you that they're playing at this level? Because really, they frankly couldn't be playing a whole lot better.
Yeah, I think 13 sacks in a regular, normal season would be a tremendous number. So I think surprise, it's not a shock, but it is, I guess, a little bit surprising that they're able to contribute that much. Hopefully, they both get 3 more sacks this year and this week and keep battling each other for that top number.
Now, did you ever at any point in the 3rd and 4th quarter, as that game, it looked a couple times like it was going to get away and that you guys were going to run away with that thing, open it up, and blow them out. And J.H. Rose, to their credit, just found a way to stay in the ball game. But in the 3rd and 4th quarter, as you guys ran the ball down their throats, it almost seemed hopeless for the defense as Johnson and Jennings were getting into the secondary, and it was just like the parting of the Red Sea. And you could see those guys that was small. We said, as fast a team as you ever want to see, but a very undersized team. And to see those guys bearing down, it really was almost, I don't know, is hopeless too strong a word?
I think as the game went on, I think TJ and Joseph both pounded the ball. They were doing a good job protecting. Obviously, OL was giving some holes. I was proud to see that, and obviously that's got to be the goal in any second half of a game when you got the lead. If you can run it and you can keep the ball, that obviously helps our defense out, keeps them off the field. A very explosive offense. They're trying to play up tempo, so we can be our defense's best friend. And then Will had a couple runs too. A couple of the RPOs. We had a couple of RPOs where we got Tyreek the ball. So a couple of those things all played off each other.
I'm going to talk about that. Here in the county, a lot of observers said that the primary difference on offense was going to be that Colin Johnson last year brought an athleticism that they weren't sure that Will was going to have. And here we are in the first round of the state playoffs. He's calling his own number and running and picking up rushing touchdowns. And it was almost like, here, I got a message for all you guys. Said I can't run. Watch this. not as efficient a day in the passing game as we saw, and there were a couple almost.
Yeah.
The wheel route down the left sideline in the second half. What do you need to clean up in the passing game moving into the next round?
I think a couple of things we worked on today, just a little subtle move here or there, one step by an O lineman, one step by Will, one step by a receiver. We tighten all those things up. One step becomes a 10, 20, or touchdown on some of those. I think I feel like we dropped 2 touchdown passes on wheel routes, one to each of the running backs. They were close, and big plays. We got to tighten those things up because you might not get the next opportunity.
Yeah, the first one, it was overthrown probably by a foot.
Yeah,
man. It was there, and then the second one, that was just a great defensive
Right.
play. Again, that speed getting there. Now in the first half, if I'm not mistaken, you got through the first half, and I don't know that Tyreek had a touch. Did you go in at halftime? You are a master when it comes to halftime adjustments. Did you guys go in as an offensive staff and say we're going to find a way to get the ball into Tu's hand?
I think that's always a goal. I'm saying a couple times in the first half, we called a player to him, and it didn't work out. They did a good job of covering the stuff. I think we called a screen, and it ended up being they tipped it or knocked it up in the air, whatever it may be. So we had targeted them a couple times in the first half, but I think that's always the goal. Many good things happen when he touches the ball. So we moved him around a little bit, put him in the slot a couple times, and I always say we're going to try to take what they're going to give us, and when they were giving us something, we want to put the ball in some of our best players' hands.
So having talked to the Rose coaching staff early in the week, I know that their focus in the passing game was to take 2 away. Yeah. In the second half, how much of it was the adjustments that you guys made, and how much of it was them pivoting and saying, hey, yeah, we're going to take away 2, but we got to figure a way to stop these backs? Yeah,
so I think there's a little bit of both of it. In the first half, I think they were definitely, I don't say rolling coverages to him because they're playing man, but the safety's a little bit to his side. They're going to make sure that a couple of things that we like to do that they were taken away. In the second half, they were so worried about the run that they had 7 guys playing the run, and we're going to get one-on-one coverage with no safety help. So a mixture of the two.
Well, an enormous win, and J.H. Rose, every ranking service that I've looked at had J.H. Rose up in the top 5 or 6 teams in 3A in the state. Like I said, it's a loaded bracket that you guys drew into. You got a heck of a matchup this week. We'll put a bow on this segment. We'll come back and we'll talk about next week right after this break.
Pentair, empowering people to move water, improve water, enjoy water, so that people can live their best, healthiest lives. Lives with purpose. Lives with enjoyment. Lives that flourish. Lives with hope. Because at Pentair, we're not just about better water. We're about better life. Pentair, bringing water to life, for life.
All right, welcome back to the Zaxby's Coaches Show. Coach Steve Burdeau. We don't normally get this much time together, man. I'm digging this part of it. So, anything else you want to add about J.H. Rose in that ball game?
Yeah, so I think going in, you mentioned them being really high ranked. They have a really, really good coaching staff. It's coach's first year there, but their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator both won state championships as head coaches. So I think that's why they have all of a sudden went from, I think, 6-6 in 2019 to being 6-0 going to the playoffs. Having really quality coaches and having multiple coaches on your staff make a difference, and it showed.
The interesting thing about that J.H. Rose team is, they went 6-6 last year. I think they were 8-4 the year before, but 6-6 they kind of bottomed out. There were some things going on with the program, and when Coach Will Bland, he's been there for 12 years, he had been 19-1 with that JV team in the last 2 years, and that group of athletes obviously was the varsity at this point, and the feeling was, these kids trust him. They know him. They'll play for him. And that's what he said the difference was, is that they believed in the system. They believed in him. And I think the proof is in the pudding.
No doubt.
And not only, Hamilton graduates this year, but there's a lot of underclassmen on that team. I think the future is bright for J.H. Rose and Coach Bland. So we wish them the best of luck. Now, on to Cleveland. This is a completely different matchup.
Yeah.
You went from playing a speedy team that caused problems with that team athleticism to playing a bigger team, a well-coached team. I looked up. This kind of blew me away the other day. Cleveland, in the history of their program, has never had an undefeated regular season until this year. That was surprising to me because that's a team over the last 10 seasons, 102 victories.
Yeah, so it had to be a lot.
They've been to the playoffs every year since 2011. That's a staff that's been intact for the most part. It's a factory down there. Now, there's not, without Hampton there, not a whole lot of marquee names down there, but when you look across that roster, it's a lot of two-sport athletes, a lot of big kids, and you know they're going to bring it. I think last year, of all the games that you played throughout the entire season up to the state championship game, Cleveland, to me, was the toughest matchup for you guys.
I think without a doubt. I'm saying Coach Riley does a great job there. He's been there since the school's open, was a coordinator, and then took over as the head coach. So he knows that community, knows that program, and shoot, 102 wins in 10 years is pretty daggone good. I don't think they've ever had a losing season, I think is what one of the coaches told me as well. So all those things lead into them being a confident team. They are very well coached. They do a lot of things on offense and a lot of things on defense, being multiple. Some of the things they do remind us of things that we do. So I think that's good and bad, because it's not fun going against yourself sometimes.
Now, I looking up and down their roster. Hampton gets all the love. And I've talked to different coaches about this. I've talked to other observers. We talked about it in the booth this past weekend. The recruiting services this year haven't known what to do. They're all messed up. And you can look up and down there, and basically the top 25s and the top 100s and the top 250s look exactly the way they did 18 months ago, because the services really haven't figured out what to do. And you and I have talked about the fact that the college programs, they're kind of scrambling and they're behind for recruiting this year. But they seem to me to be a team an awful lot like you guys that have guys up and down that roster that probably will end up D1 ball players that just aren't getting the love right now. And Hampton, he's the type guy, because he plays running back and because of the numbers he put up as a freshman, sophomore, he's impossible to ignore. But what guys, if any, stand out on tape to you that you're going to have to game plan around?
I think I got one guy on both sides of the ball. I think they're maybe a little bit underrated. The quarterback's a really good player. And then the linebacker, 24, has made, I think, leading them in tackles. Started for him in 2019, made a lot of plays, good-sized kid. So I think there's two guys that are probably a little bit underrated that are going to be good are good ball players, but somebody's going to figure it out.
Well, the linebacker that you're talking about, in fact, there's an announcement just came, been selected playing the East-West game.
Sweet.
And, yeah, a heck of a ball player, 6'2", 220, I think is what he goes. These guys – I guess I got ahead of myself with the question. The frustration I would have, I guess, if I was on staff is I really feel like you guys can't know what they're going to bring, because what they were able to do against Southern Durham, they're not going to be able to do against you guys. No offense to Southern Durham, but it basically was, we're going to call whatever, and Locklear's either going to make a throw or he's going to tuck the ball and he's going to run. And that broken field, you guys did a good job with Jarman this past week against Rose, who was trying to do a similar type thing. And found out pretty quickly that was not going to be sustainable.
Yeah, so I think hopefully that's the same case this week. I'm saying I think they're similar athletically. I think that the quarterback this week has a little bit more experience. He went through the playoff run with them in 2019. He hasn't turned the ball over much. I think he has 5 interceptions on the year. So he's not one to just necessarily toss it up to any of his random guys. They do a good job of spreading it around. They will work sideways a little bit with screen passes and some, of course, RPOs. Everybody's running right now, so they work that kind of thing. But it all comes back down to their O line having to block our D line, and if we can win that look, we got a chance everywhere else.
Yeah, I think you talking about the RPO. You see a lot of schools try to run it, and I think that there's a lot of copycat stuff. And if you can run it effectively, it's an effective offense. And then you see teams. You had one of your conferences, as a matter of fact, tried to run the RPO a lot, but the quarterback really didn't understand the keys, and that was apparent once you started looking at it. Skylar Locklear, quarterback there at Cleveland, knows what he's doing in that RPO. Everything I've watched, that's the thing, is you can tell he's reading his keys. He never seems to make the wrong read. Do you try to game that a little bit, or do you just play it straight up and hope that you're going to make a play, or are you trying to confuse him?
No, we'll definitely have different looks in, and we run enough of it on offense where Coach Jacobs gets chances to play with some stuff when we're going 1v1 periods. So we always will have some different things, whether it's disguising the coverage or luckily with our fairly athletic defensive line, some of those guys can go cover some things that some other teams can't, or we can bring guys from different directions that kind of can replace some of that stuff.
All right, very good. I got a couple questions that have nothing to do with either of these games.
Okay.
First of all, and we were talking about this in the booth, at the end of the J.H. Rose game, there was a circumstance where the clock was down at about 45 seconds or so, and you guys were going to have to run a couple of plays. Do you keep track of the clock, or is there somebody on staff that's in your ear doing the math associated with timeouts in the clock? Because in that case, you kind of had to do some real quick math to figure out, okay, if they call a timeout, we run one play, it's over, but it was really close. Are you tracking that, or do you have somebody helping you do that?
So I have Coach Williams, our quarterback coach, is up in the press box, and he's always wanting to keeping me up with how much time's left in the game, how many timeouts we have left, and then I usually just take that information and think about it. I kind of know where our numbers are at, and even at the end of the game we got a first down, so they're supposed to set the clock at 25 seconds. They said at 40.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so that's why we were going to go do a victory snap. And then the referee said, "Oh, you don't have to snap it." I'm like, "All right, well, that's fine. We'd rather not have to snap it, but they set that up. We would have to do one more victory snap to get us there. But yeah, I try to keep track of all that stuff.
All right, very good. And that it's a credit to what you guys are able to do, because we're in the booth with really nothing else going on in life. We're not trying to figure out personnel or what play we're going to call or anything else, but we're trying to figure it out. And well, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but you guys got it right in the end. And the second thing is that with this team, a little bit better than maybe the last couple years, there never seems to be an emotional outburst that costs you guys yardage. Is that something that is part of the culture that you've brought, that you've just kind of made that next step? Mm-hmm. And I ask specifically because this wasn't the best officiated game I've ever attended in my life. And both directions, there were some really, really questionable calls. But in the end, your guys were like, let's line up and play. Right. And I think in the past, maybe we would have seen something silly. Is that something that you've consciously worked on, or is it something that's just a product naturally?
I think it's been natural a little bit. We have talked about if something don't go our way, what happens. Let me be the guy that talks to the officials. Let me be the guy that gets frustrated and y'all keep playing type of things. And the same thing with the coaches. I don't want them, saying stuff to the officials. I want them to go ahead and coach the next play. And sometimes it's tough. And sometimes I had to keep reminding myself of that, and because it can get frustrating. If the official can give me, at least communicate with me and give me the opinion of what they saw and it makes sense, I'm willing to accept that. The issue I have is when they can't explain what the flag was or why it happened, and that's when I guess my frustration would show up.
Got it. All right, and last thing about this. At this point in the season, you've been around high school football. This is what you do. Mm-hmm. You've been doing this for a very long time. At this point, is there any disappointment at all that's associated with the fact that you guys are not being able to play to packed houses? I mean, I think a game like J.H. Rose and Lee County rolled out there with as many people as could get tickets, but still, it's a sparse crowd. And you guys, I just wonder if there's any disappointment with
I think week one, or actually our first away game, it was in the mud anyway, so I don't know how many people would have went. But I think then it was a little bit like, man, we wish more people could go, because some of the kids' families weren't even able to go. Yeah. Once we got past that, where we know if mom, dad, little sister, whoever wanted to go to, I haven't really thought about it anymore. When I felt good about it at that point, of course, we'd rather have 6,000 people out there watching and screaming. But as long as everybody's families can go and everybody at this point that wants to show up can be there, I think that's all we can ask for.
All right, and something else just occurred to me. So there's a couple things that have happened in the 3AA bracket, and we talked about the fact that Hampton is out for this week. There are rumors out there that he may not even play next season. Because of the injury and then trying to get ready to go to school. Will Shipley's left Weddington and is at Clemson. Any kind of craziness that might happen with regard to Lee County with any personnel that might not be available at some point this playoffs or into next season? Or?
I sure hope not. Nothing that I know of. Hopefully these boys we'll give them a day off or two after hopefully the state championship, and then we'll start trying to do it again for next fall. But no, not that I know of.
All right. At this point, we'll pivot. We'll take a break, and then we're going to come back and give away some hardware.
Sounds good.
WilkinsonCars.com. Come visit us at our new location in Sanford. With the same great staff and the same great service, test drive one of our many different vehicles. Check out our state-of-the-art service department and collision center, where our team can have you back on the road in no time. We're right across from Walmart at 3335 North Carolina 87 South. Schedule your appointment online at wilkinsoncars.com or call us at 919-842-3322. We guarantee we're the place to be at Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. We are professional grade.
All right, welcome back to the Zaxby's Coaches Show. Lee County, the Yellow Jackets victorious in round one, on to their round two matchup against Cleveland at 7 o'clock on Friday night. Coach, 390 tickets available for Jacket fans. Talk about how folks can get those tickets and how that's going to work.
So Cleveland uses a website called Ticket Spigot, and if you type that in Cleveland, the game will come up. It's going to start showing up on Wednesday, I believe at 8 a.m. Right now, there's only a code where the kids, friends, and family can get it. So if you know one of the players, you can get the code from them. If not, it goes live, I guess, on Wednesday.
All right. Well, I'm glad I have a seat. I'll be up in the press box, I imagine. All right. We got some awards. Let's start with the First Bank Player of the Week awards on both sides of the football. Who you got?
All right, so up first, Defensive Player of the Week this week is Mark Schlesinger, number 8 for us. Mark's a sophomore. He stepped in playing some wheel linebacker for us and did a fantastic job. It was really one of the guys that helped stop that jet sweep. He turned it back in and let JoJo, TJ, all the D linemen come make the plays and made a couple of the tackles himself. So he did a fantastic job out there. Offensive Player of the Week this week is Will Patterson. Will's the quarterback, number 12, is a junior. Will had a couple of rushing touchdowns and did a fantastic job putting us in good situations with his reading and making throws throughout the game.
All right, so at present, I want to make sure I'm 100% clear on this. Mark Schlesinger, you got him in here as a linebacker. He is also your backup quarterback, correct?
Yeah.
You've been coaching a long time. How many times has your backup quarterback played linebacker?
Not very many. I've had one time where my starting quarterback was also a linebacker. He's playing at NC State right now. So, it's not very common, but Mark's a special type of athlete that can do those things.
All right. So getting out there and putting your nose in it, if you could only play one side of the ball for the next couple of years, would it be a linebacker or would it be a quarterback?
That's a tough one. I don't know.
Okay.
That's a tough one.
But right now you're just trying to get on the field, right?
Yeah.
It's impressive. We saw you roll out there against Southern Lee and we're kind of blown away. I was like, hey, number 8. What's he doing out there with the varsity playing linebacker? But then we saw you stick your nose in there and we're like, oh, that's what he's doing out there playing linebacker. He knows what's going on. Mr. Patterson,
yes,
this is the first time you've been here with us this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually the second.
Was he here?
Yeah, he was here one other time.
You sure that must have been with Nate?
It was Nate. It was Nate, yeah.
So my mistake.
Yeah.
You heard me tell Coach, there were a lot of folks that looked at this offense with the talent it returned at receiver, on the offensive line, at running back, and kind of said, we're going to be as good as Patterson can be. Did you feel any pressure coming behind Colin with the record he put up in terms of wins and losses and everything he accomplished? Or are you like, look, I'm going to do what I can do?
I'm just going to play my game, and what happens, and I'm just going to be the best I can be.
All right. What do you think the best part of your game is?
I just think getting the ball to the receivers and reading the defense and running the ball.
Running the ball. That's funny. So from week one, we were there with you at South Granville, where you guys played in a quagmire. Coach has had you guys throwing the ball around, doing different things in the passing game we haven't seen a lot of in the past. And I think up to this week, where you guys had a tough matchup with guys flying around the field, where's the biggest improvement in your game been from week one to right now?
I think just trusting the O-line and being able to stay in the pocket more and not trying to escape as much and finding the open receivers.
Got it. What's your favorite route to throw?
Probably the go route or the post.
Okay. How much time – which one of the guys on the offense can you not overthrow? Who's the fastest of the receivers?
Probably Tyreek or Kendon.
Oh, come on, you got to give one of them.
And they're both about the same, man.
All right, yeah, those guys, it must be nice to be able to throw the ball to those guys. And you got both of them. You guys are going to come back as a group next year, which is unbelievable.
Yes, sir.
We're excited for you guys. You picked it up and have got this offense clicking at a really high level. It seemed the first series or so of the game that you might have gotten a little bit anxious, where a little bit of nerves in the first quarter. There were some balls you threw that were really hot. that didn't have a lot of touch on them. Did you feel like you settled down, or just a couple of bad throws? And
Just a couple of bad throws to start off the game, and I felt like I got better as the game went on.
Okay. So Coach and I talked about the speed of this defense that you played this past week. I mean, those guys looked like they were flying all over the place. What kind of matchups problems do you foresee with Cleveland? What's different about what they bring to the table versus what you saw against Rose?
I think they're probably about the same. I mean, I'm just going to trust the O-line just like I have been all year, and just whatever happens, and we're going to go as the game goes on.
All right, very good. Great job, guys. Coach, anything you want to add about these young men?
I think both Mark and Will have done a fantastic job. I say this every week, but they're doing really well in the classroom, and they're doing all the other things that we want them to do as well. I'm proud of how they've developed throughout the year as a player, on and off the field.
One last question about these two guys. If Patterson were unavailable at any point from between now and y'all winning the state championship, which is gonna happen this year, if Schlesinger was pressed into duty, how much of your what percentage of your playbook would you be able to run?
Thankfully, our JV team runs very, very, very much of our offense. We wear a high percentage of it. So I think that Mark's very comfortable with a lot of things we do. I wouldn't say this if Will was in the room, but Mark might run the ball more than Will does. But no, both of them do a really good job with it. Mark can manage the offense without a doubt.
Well, I was actually going to ask that because Patterson's proven everybody wrong. Mm-hmm. And in fact, there's some people that told me before, they're like, I'm not sure Patterson can run like Johnson did. But we've seen Patterson get it done. A couple of rushing touchdowns this past week. The RPO is hitting. If you get into a tough matchup at some point and the chips are down to you got to do something a little bit different, would there ever be any temptation to put Schlesinger in for a snap or two to run a quarterback draw or something of that nature?
I think I'd be comfortable with either one of them doing that.
Okay.
I think, we pick on Will a lot, but Will is a pretty good athlete. We do give him a hard time. We do, not just on the show. We try to do that often, as much as we can outside of it. But Will is a really good athlete. Plays baseball too, so multi-sport kid. Could also probably play a little bit of other sports if he really wanted to. So he's a better athlete, and we just pick on him a lot.
Well, let me. I'm gonna say this to the world with this camera rolling, and this is no offense to anybody, but I've been doing Southern Lee games or Southern and Lee County for 10 years now. There's not a quarterback at either one of these schools has more arm talent than Will Patterson, and that's over 10 years. So people can talk about it, and y'all can make fun of him or whatever you want to do. But in terms of arm talent, delivering the ball on time with accuracy. Keep doing what you're doing, and you guys are going to go deep into these playoffs.
Yes, sir.
All right, there's nobody here for First Bank with us today for the first time ever, but you guys, if you'll pick up those trophies, and right next to them, nope, Rodney, you leave yours there for a sec. And behind it is a Zaxby's gift card for $25. Congratulations, guys, and we'll be with you up there Friday night. Can't wait to see you guys put it on Cleveland. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with Scholar Athlete of the Week for Lee County. You're watching the Zaxby's Coaches Show. I'm Chris Delambert. This is Coach Steve Burdeau.
North Carolina Farm Bureau, proud supporter of Lee County Scholar Athletes of the Week.
Farm Bureau can help you and your family with all your auto and home insurance needs.
Farm Bureau has life insurance and financial services to meet all your needs, now and in the future.
Farm Bureau Tramway Office is proud to award the Farm Bureau Scholar Athlete of the Week.
All right, welcome back to the Zaxby's Coaches Show. Coach Steve Burdeau bringing these fine young gentlemen out here. Rodney Ingram is here as your Scholar Athlete, and I joked as we went into the break, he's been here as a Player of the Week many times over, wearing an orange jersey, but never a Scholar Athlete, and I think it's a testament to what kind of young man he is. You want to talk about him a little bit?
Yeah, Rodney looks really good in gold, too. I'll say that. He's doing a heck of a job for us. Obviously, he's doing well in the classroom. That's why he's here as a Scholar Athlete, but he's done a really good job of jumping in and working hard and doing anything we've asked him to. He's taking some carries. He's making some plays in the backfield at D-line, and he's just doing everything that we could ask.
So I want to know, with the transfer to Lee County, there was a lot of movement with a lot of different guys, but I don't think that most people from the outside looking in, when they heard that you were going to be at Lee County this year, expected that most of your work was going to be done at linebacker. How do you feel about the transition plan and developing a new skill set?
Well, I've always played defense, but, when I got to high school, out at Southern, I was the main running back, so I got a lot of carries. So they didn't want to, wear me down that much. That's why I really didn't play. But when I go over to Lee County, we had other running backs like TJ and JoJo. So I didn't have to take as much carry, so I could play both sides of the ball.
Now, when you've come into the game and gotten to carry the ball, it's kind of been softened up for you because you got two great big guys in front of you, and then you're like a rolling ball of butcher knives coming at them. You ever feel bad about punishing folks that way late in the game?
No, sir, not at all.
That's fantastic. So, scholar athlete, what are your plans academically next year and on into the future?
Well, I'm applying for scholarships and stuff right now, so hopefully I can get some scholarships to help me pay for college.
What would you like to study?
Physical therapy.
Okay.
Like sports training, sports med.
Very good. Are you going to try to get somewhere where you can play some ball next year?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. I hope it works out because you've been a heck of a ball player here in Lee County for a very long time, and it's good to see you again. Coach, anything to add?
No, I'm proud of Rodney. We'll see him. Hopefully, scores a couple more touchdowns, gets a couple more sacks, and keeps this thing rolling for us.
Man, the one thing that I'm bothered about is that we're not going to get any more home games for Lee County.
Maybe. Hey,
that's
one chance.
That's true. There is that one chance. If we do, I'm going to make sure that the PA announcer there is equipped with the train whistle, just in case.
Okay.
Rodney gets to move the pile a little bit.
Sounds good to me.
Because I missed the train whistle from over Southern Lee. All right, we'll take a quick break. Coach, be back with me. Man, we got about 10 minutes to talk about whatever we want to. That could be dangerous.
Something big is coming. Something so big, it'll change the world of chicken sandwiches. Zaxby's new signature sandwich with Zax sauce or new spicy Zax sauce. Because the chicken sandwich war ain't over yet. The new signature sandwich. All the other little sandwiches can run along. We'll take it from here.
All right, welcome back to the final segment of the Zaxby's Coaches Show. Coach, we get at least one of these no matter what happens this weekend, but I really need for us to have about 4 more of these. Going into the playoffs, before we knew about – I mean, people could have programmed Cleveland and you guys into the playoffs a long time ago. How much difference does Hampton not being in there? And don't give me coach speak. I mean, how big a deal is it? I'm not even asking you. I want you to frame it for people at home what losing a player of that magnitude at that position means to a program.
Yeah, I think he's their best football player, so I'm sure it was not just the statistics, but he plays some defense. He returns kicks, so you're not really just losing your running back. He lost an outside linebacker, you lost your punt return, you lost your kick returner. So and everybody on the team knows that too. So that's definitely going to take a hit. But what I will give them credit for, whether it's the coaching staff, the kids, the culture, whatever it may be. Since that's happened, I think they've embraced it, and it's been hey, we're not going to make an excuse. We're going to find a way to overcome it. So, I think highly of Coach Riley, and they've done a really good job with that.
Yeah, I'm not close enough to the program to know for sure, but looking and kind of listening around the program, it seems like Skylar Locklear, their junior quarterback, is sort of a center of gravity on that team. An athlete, he's a superior athlete. You can watch what he does on the field. If you were to talk to somebody about this game with Southern Durham this past week, they'll tell you, well, Locklear ran all over the field. And he can do that, but that's not been his game. Right. He's been the starter now for 2 full years, and he's a guy that you're normally going to get you 30 or 40 yards, not 150 or whatever the case might be. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do to try to come out and move the ball on you guys. It's going to be a challenge for them, but they're a good ball club, like you said. The other piece, though, is you guys have gotten this opportunity a couple times in the past, and I know that your guys are looking at the other side of that bracket and thinking, we want revenge. But this is a revenge game for Cleveland. Cleveland came into Lee County last year and thought they had the game under control until that play by Jackson Lamb kind of flipped the momentum, and they never could get untracked. How much of a difference do you think it makes with these guys? Because you guys are playing a team that's a little bit more hungry than they might be otherwise.
Yeah, I think probably the last 15 months or whatever it's been, 16 months since we played them, they probably have talked about that game a lot. I know the year before when we lost to Dudley, it was a really close game. We talked about that game a lot. So I'm sure it's I don't know if they got a sign in the locker room or something like that, but I'm sure it's been something that's brought up. Myself and Coach Riley talked in the offseason several times trying to figure some stuff out, whether it was scrimmages or playing, and we kind of both agreed we just try to meet each other in the playoffs. I did ask them, did they just want to come and play us at home, but they decided they want us to go there. I tried to work that out for us, but he wasn't for it.
Well, Max Preps is still looking the location of Friday's game as neutral.
Oh, okay.
So who knows? Maybe it'll change last minute. I'm hoping to get an opportunity to talk Coach Riley during the week. I'll see if I can get some intel and give him something. No chance of that. No. How do you keep your guys from looking past Cleveland?
Now, if you do, you don't get nothing past Cleveland. So that's the thing. Some people said, beat J.H. Rose in this. Beat Cleveland. It doesn't matter about what's next. If you don't take this step, you don't get to the next step. So we can't look past Tuesday practice right now. We finished Monday's practice. We got to get better on Tuesday. If we don't get better Tuesday, Friday don't matter.
All right. Now, over the last 2 or 3 weeks of the regular season, a lot of news coming in as far as recruiting, especially with Johnson and McKendall. Do you do anything to kind of squash that when the playoffs roll around and make sure these guys are focused? Or given the circumstances, I mean, if somebody comes in and says, hey, we want to meet with, TJ Johnson, or we want to meet with whomever, would it just be business as usual?
Yeah, so I think it's business as usual, with the exception that right now NCAA, they can't really do a whole lot. It's all on the phone. It's all virtual. You might get Zoom calls and Google Meets and just straight phone calls, but they can't come sit down in the campus like on a normal year and come see me or, some of the guys or whatever it may be. So that's been a little bit different. So on that part, I guess it's helped as far as with some time stuff. And I'm sure those coaches, I don't know if they enjoy it because they don't get to go on the road, but they're not they probably get to talk a whole lot more kids than they would if they had to drive to every campus, that's in their recruiting area.
That's fair. As you come through, whenever this season ends, a month from now or whenever, it seems to me that with these graduating seniors, these guys weren't the marquee names like Evans and Chalmers and Prince. I don't think people understand the amount of work that coaches have to put into trying to find the right situation so that we can get these guys and they continue their college career. Do you think that coming out of this season, you're going to have even more work than you normally would to try to find these guys a place to play ball?
I think there's going to be a handful of our seniors that are expressing interest in playing that we're going to find opportunities for, and then it becomes, do those opportunities match what they want to do academically? And then from there, it's finding the camps that the kids need to go to. They're underclassmen this summer because they are right now set to have camps again. They didn't have them last summer, and trying to make sure those kids are getting in being seen by the guys they need to be seen by, not just go somewhere to, be another camp body. We always like to send them places that they're going to get evaluated.
It feels from the outside looking in that your guys are still in sort of a prove it phase with these evaluators, the web-based guys in particular. Because you would think that going from Jameer Smith, who was a D1 running back, went to Notre Dame, Des Evans, who was the #1 recruit in the state, now you've got these underclassmen that are coming behind. It would seem to me that at some point your guys would get more of the benefit of the doubt. And when they put up the numbers and they're out there, I mean, JoJo Jennings was a preseason sophomore All-American, but now you look at the recruiting services, there's no Lee County guys there anywhere, and it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think sometimes in those services or sometimes recruiting in general, they look for too much of, hey, a guy's got to be this big, weigh this much, and they don't always base it just on film. I think wouldn't that be those guys that base things just on film? There's some schools in the area that do that, and they're always pretty successful. So hopefully more people start doing that.
One of them's out in the mountains.
Yes, it is.
All
yes,
right.
Sir.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple players off this ball club that find their way out to that particular school.
Yes, sir.
All right, Coach. Big week. Is getting ready for the playoffs any different than regular season? Any other, energy that you dump in, or is it just another week?
I feel like we're very heavily invested every day throughout the season. We meet on Sundays as coaches. I would like to say that we give everything we got every week. But I guess the extra energy is always, the more competitive the games can get, the more juices get flowing anyway. So maybe so, I guess. But I feel like we always do everything we can in general for anybody.
All right, well, I'm fired up about Friday. We'll be rolling up to Clayton as the Lee County Yellow Jackets coming off that first-round victory, go into the second round. I guess, move this forward, I guess it's the Eastern Conference semifinals this week?
Yeah.
Wow. It just crept. You're only missing that 1 week, but, man, it really kind of crept up on us. It's kind of amazing, and the tradition continues to grow here at Lee County. We're excited to be a part of it, and we'll be on hand in Clayton, an hour up the road, to watch Lee County move on past Cleveland into the next round of the playoffs. I'm Chris Delambert. This is Coach Steve Burdeau. This has been the Zaxby's Coaches Show. Peace.
The Zaxby's Coaches Show, brought to you by First Bank, Farm Bureau Insurance, and Zaxby's Friends, Family, Flavor. With your host, Chris Delambert, only on the NFHS Network. Brought to you by New Image